Welcome. I'm Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Hypno Acuity, presenting 7 ways I stop letting my daily life intimidate me. Expansion art. Now, this expansion art is going to be spoken in first person and in third person. So when I speak in first person, listen to the expansion art as you're speaking it. And something I can never do is I can never tell you anything that's wrong with you or anything. I show you the way I expanded my life. Because I learned something over the weekend. When I start telling you what to do, I'm comparing you, categorizing you, and thinking I can show you something or tell you something. You're telling the smell, you're showing the glow of the go. So I'm going to show you the way I expanded my life. And I opened up this morning to this. I admitted the outside world controlled me all through high school and all through different parts of my life because I was never the biggest, and I was kind of, I guess you could just say flat out, I was bullied. But I never let it control me. But the thing is, it did bring out my insecurities because I would avoid things so I didn't have to go through the situation. In which I'll admit, I ended up going through the situation. And so I began letting my outside world intimidate me, control me, and I actually instilled fear. Now, here's the thing about fear. Everybody says fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear is a subconscious representation of an event, encounter, or something in the past that was unsavory, and your subconscious protected you at the fight, flight, or freeze method. So and the only way out of fear is questioning it or going to hypnotherapy or something. But fear is not false evidence appearing real. And somebody says all you got to do is avoid it, or not avoid it, but never go through it. You're going to question your way through fear and all adversity. And adversity, controversy, chaos, and are all awakenings. See, life is an awakening when you stop falling prey to your own fears, insecurities, immaturities, especially the way your parents handled situations. And see, that's something I awoken to when I started this. My parents had a lot to do with the way I behaved or experienced my outside world, because it's how they said things and how they actually handled things in the outside world had a lot to do with the way I experienced it and faced and embraced my daily life. And something I awakened to is I'm going to face and embrace my daily life, whether I like it or not. But here's the thing I learned about face and embrace. I never have to go through it directly. I can ask, why am I apprehensive about doing something? But I did allow the outside world to intimidate me in my everyday life, because how do you avoid controversy and think it'll go away? I know I did. It didn't go away, though. Never went away. I ended up facing and embracing it somewhere down the line. But you can participate and facilitate through it by asking yourself questions. It's the simplest question. Why am I afraid of this? Because most of life's fraudulent effigies are just a silhouette of something that happened. But we were taught to just, that was bad. And how many of your unsavory memories are from other people and what they remind you of what you did and how you handled it? That's something I awoken to today. It wasn't so much the experience as letting it go, as people that know you or understand you always bring up, do you remember this? Do you remember that? They're doing that to keep you inside their comfort zone, because people never want to let people go. So as we open our eyes of wise today, we waltz internally, freeing me with a sovereign expression of I am sovereign, astonishing, and dynamic today. And see, a lot of our representations are from the institutionalized, societized ways. You know, like me, I was never the best in school. In fact, I kind of sloughed off during school, I have to admit it. but the teacher would compare me to the smarter kids. And when she compared me, that they did it to me to try to motivate me, but they never understand that leaves a scar. And see, a lot of times teachers, they got 27 or how many kids they have in the room. They don't have time to understand every kid. But however, sometimes you have to step back and rather than try to know the kid and think you know what's best, understand the person and understand to communicate what is best for them. I am with Cowboy Wisdom Hypnoacuity, and a lot of people have business. Business is nothing more than a name on a sheet of paper in a file cabinet. And when people use business, they're usually stuck in that file cabinet with that piece of paper and their degree or something else. The thing about paper is it goes in a file cabinet or on the wall. Life is experienced out here. And when you can let go internally, freeing everything, you can really let go of your inner larcenist. You're the one stealing your dreams, your life, everything. But when you think and try to think and know your way through life, you're living in some subconscious robotic situations. Thinking and knowing is a robotic reactions to life. I really opened up to that in my life. And you know, it isn't the level of education or anything you have. What are you willing to experience to expand your wisdom, to rise out of your situation, to glide on your liminal carpet glide? And see if you open up to words that aren't contracting and contrite to your life, like I expand out of yesterday to enjoy today. You know, just little sayings like that. Life's easy when I quit thinking and knowing my way through from yesterday to today. And a lot of the institutionalized education is enfolded with camouflage limitations and unadmitted apathy. But people get that education and they get in that comfort zone. And like me, I got into a comfort zone of the union electrical trade because it was easy. It's something I didn't really like that well until I understand how good it was for me. Because electricity is a lot like life, and that'll be another TV show and something down the road. But education, how is your education shutting off your listening? Because you're going to listen your way to the penthouse. You're going to tuck your way to the outhouse. I've done it so good, I built the Grand Canyon. I walked to the outhouse so much and tried to think and know my way through life. And I let the outside world intimidate me because I never thought I was equal to everybody, and I didn't have the schooling, and I didn't have this. So I allowed myself to step back in the rat-a-tat crap of myself. And that's the thing about life. Everything you're afraid of in life is inside you. The outside world is a tour guide, and that's all it is. It's just a tour guide for you to move forward. Life is an awakening of enlightenment, listening, appreciation. Appreciation is probably the most unique word I've encountered. Appreciation and understanding. You appreciate the situation, you appreciate yourself, you move forward in life. But you can't allow the outside world to control you and intimidate you. And especially if you're working the working world this day, or any place for somebody, they like to intimidate you with, I have control. The only person that has control is nobody. When you choose to face and embrace, facilitate, and participate in your life with a dreamer's dexterity, adventurous audacity, you can stroll through anything because you're detached panache to dance with your daredevil audacity, naturally celebrating every day. You know, we are so camouflaged with limitations from society, parents, but it all comes down to you. I'm the only one that can control me and camouflage the limitations in my life. And the best liberating saying I have is I am the limitation of my life. You know, when some people say they got a program or they have this, they have a limitation. Programs are limitations. And you really want to be open to listening for the clarity of your own wisdom, intuition, imagination, innovation, inspiration. and unlock them unparalleled talents to ballet through life. You are uniquely talented. But however, your unique talents, wisdom, and insight are probably in the liminal carpet glide, never inside the school system and society. We've been taught the fight, flight, or freeze method from our ancestors, but they teach it in school to control us. Everything in education is great and a limitation at the same time. And all you educated people, how are you unteachable and think you're above the blue collar people of the world or the workers of the world? Here's something I ask myself a lot. What would happen if all the management, politicians, CEOs went home for 30 days? Would there be chaos? Oh, you bet. But if all the hourly workers and the go home for 30 days, that's the truck drivers, the nurses, people working in the hospitals, the electricians, and everybody go home for 30 days, it'd lock this country down. See, we always put up what everybody wants us to think is the absolute, like education and management. Management can come and go. As long as they keep the people in the production area the same, it'll be chaotic, but it'll move forward. See, this world has always been top down. Well, really, the world goes bottom up. And when you stop letting the outside world intimidate you or let other people intimidate you, you move forward. And it isn't them intimidating you. You're intimidating yourself. And when you imitate somebody else's program, you're intimidating yourself and embellishing your insecurities, immaturity, and all the unfavorable stuff you embedded as a child. And the more I rise to understand, it is me that does everything to me. The only guilty thing in my life is me. Everything else is innocent. Everything else is an awakening for me to expand. You know, yesterday I was walking in the desert and something came to me and it says, you know, what you thought everybody else did to you was an awakening. The control and the contraction and all the fear and animosity I did to myself. Revenge thinking, you do it to yourself. But we were taught through history and in life, oh, if somebody does something, you got to retaliate. And really, all the thinking, knowing, and retaliation you're doing to yourself. And, you know, I got another show coming out called Adverse Veracity. And it's really looking at your life from an adversary's point of view. And veracity is unwilling to lie to yourself. And that's the thing about life. The only one that, when you tell a lie to somebody, you're lying to yourself, but you're lying to your heart, soul, spirit, and sovereignty. So it's really disengaging yourself. And see, the world is afraid of anything beyond the education, the knowledge, thinking, and knowing mind, because we come binded in yesterday, stuck in ourselves. You know, when I opened up to this to realize the only limitation and everything, all the anger, frustration in my life is done by my subconscious mind, robotic frozen time representations. I am a robot to my subconscious mind. When my subconscious mind gets a fight, flight, or freeze mechanism going, I'm stuck in yesterday's yuckity-mucket of whatever it is. See, the more I realize life is like a bank robbery, it's an inside job. The only one, I'm the thief of my dreams. And by admitting that, I liberate me from me. And that's what this is all about, is liberating you from you, and I liberate me from me. Setting myself free to understand I am the ride and roper of my world championship, to wear the buckle of my bold, ubiquitous celebration, keenly lionizing eternity. And see, when you feel we taught ourselves to feel inferior to people because we categorize people as children. Oh, he's the most popular. She's the most popular. Then you wanted to be in the clique of ick. And then when you were on the outskirts and you kind of like me, I was never the most favorite. And I have an energy that's different, and I admit it, but the world never understands how to handle or adhere to anything outside of their comfort zone. And that's the thing about life. We're stuck in the comfort zone of yesterday. We're actually still stuck in the comfort zone of our ancestors all the way back to beginning of time. And the business world is stuck in the same thing. They're stuck in the same mindset as people clear back to who knows where. Because we still encompass an enslaving mindset. We think we own people. And if they do something and they want you to do it their way and you don't, and you do it your way, they get mad because you didn't do it their way. If somebody gets mad because you said no, they're never a friend, and they're somebody you want to shed and shred out of your life in a high rate of speed. You know, we cover up life with institutionalized instruction, thinking this is what it is. And then we have that egotistical arrogance, know-it-all ignorance. I'm right, you're wrong, and this is the way it's got to be as a dippity-doo-dah, pukey day. You know, the only one that understands your life and has a inkling what is the highest outcome is your intuition, imagination, innovation, spirit, sovereignty, love, heart, and soul. Now, love, heart, and soul, and sovereignty, thinking, knowing, are non-existent. See, that's the thing. In the higher, in the superliminal, and the superconscious, and the liminal, the thinking, knowing mind, and knowledge, and everything you learned is pretty much staying down below in the basement. Because this is where your inspiration, imagination, innovation ride you above and out of yesterday to enjoy today. It's really about allowing yourself to feel the freedom of yourself. And we allow people to intimidate us because we don't want to hurt their feelings. I was guilty of that. There's a lot of times I wanted to say something, but I could understand I had more heart and will than they did, so I just keep my mouth shut. Now it runs too rampant, but that's okay. I love it. But you know, a lot of people hide their feelings because they're more secure inside. Usually the mouthy, arrogant, egotistical people are the most fearful people. They use intimidation to make them feel good, and then deep inside they're insecure, immature. Two of the greatest ones I know is Adolf Hitler and Saddam Hussein. They were very insecure, but they used physical force on people. When you have to use physical force on people, you're insecure, immature, and afraid of life. And the people you intimidate and use force on are the ones that are subconsciously and spiritually intimidating you. A lot of people that talk tough are usually the most insecure people. The silent ones are the ones to watch out for because they have the security, the sovereign valor to walk through life. You know, the more somebody talks, the more they squeal like a pig under a gate. They're just trying to intimidate you with what they did. And the more I've expanded, the more somebody tells me what they have, the more I understand how insecure they have. The one I really use on that one is Warren Buffett. You know, you never hear Buffett tell you what he has. He just shows you what he's going to do. And there's other ones like that. But when people say business first, that means they're staying in their conscious mind. And they're thinking and knowing mind. And when somebody tells you to set a boundary, they're telling you to set a fear. When you're in an unsavory situation, you know, and I'm not talking life or death, but an unsavory where you're uncomfortable, it's why am I apprehensive? And where is the highest path for me to expand out of this, to rise out and expand? And that's the key two words, rise out and expand of your understanding and the galvanized grandeur of your heart and soul. If you listen to yourself and you trust your intuition and imagination, there's very few times you're going to get in very unsavory situations. No, egotistical is intimidation, is trying to make the other person feel inferior. Anybody who's trying to make somebody feel inferior is inferior in here. People that have to intimidate people are insecure people. People that can communicate and understand the situation and try to understand each other's communicating ways, they're the secure people. Most of the people that are leaders of today are very insecure people, and they have to use intimidation to try to get this. And I'm going to say this, a lot of the business world is very insecure because the first thing that happens is they're running someplace to get a handout. Business, the corporations are the biggest people looking for handouts. And they're looking for the handouts from who? You and me. And then once, you become, like the bullies in high school, they always have a following. Then people that follow a bully in high school are forever stuck in sheepocracy, looking for leadership outside of themselves. Usually the people that are bullied in high school turn out with a little more savvy and more secure. And I'll tell you something I've learned. What we call nerds, they're not nerds. They're highly wise people, but they intimidate people. That the bullies are intimidated by the inner security of them people. And nowadays we allow bullying to go on because it's easier to let it go on than face the people. And a lot of times that has to do with the parents. And that goes from the parents down, down, down. And so that's where you got to stop letting the outside world intimidate you. This world is so afraid of humor that it never goes anywhere. If you say something that's kind of whimsical, people just, the people are insecure in this world. And, there a lot of it is true, but what are you really afraid of if somebody says something that's humorous? And then you meet the next person and they're laughing just outlandishly. And then that laughter will cure and rise us out of all the intimidation of ourselves. And that's something that's really, really open to. And now I'm going to read you this. I now realize and admit to me, myself, and I, my thrill will is something I stood up for something and when nobody else did, then I heard their crybaby BS of their egotistical arrogance and know-it-all complainers drain afterwards opened my famous freedoms, announcing my optimistic ubiquitous savvy. To understand and admit, my blaming egotistical arrogance looks at the world through everything and everybody is guilty and they owe me something. My heart and soul says, I have the vulnerability to express my wisdom to expand people out of yesterday. And that's when you stop letting the outside world intimidate you. When you say, I expand people out of yesterday to rise to their liminal carpet glide, to expand of their dreams, energize their wise, to feel the free-flowing stuff. And there's so many people in this world are jealousy and envious of people. And anybody that's a little bit outside of the comfort zone of society and the educated world, that really sets people amok. Because I've witnessed this in the last 2 years. I've been dealing a lot on JV directories and stuff like that. When they hear something that's above there, they get a smirk like, oh, that can't be true. When you smirk, that means your inner jerk is controlling your life and you're afraid. And it's easy to do that. And it's easy and it's fun to watch. But it's really about not doing that. It's about allowing me to understand them, to understand myself more. Whatever I want to understand about myself is being presented to me from my outside world. So today I stopped being intimidated by society in my daily life. I woke with a snappy sovereign valor to admit and understand my daily encounters, events, and experiences out of everywhere are trials and dares. Are unrehearsed, unedited and uneducated circumstances that spurred my subconscious mind robotic reactions to my daily life encounters and experiences. Because my daily scampers enfold moldy old memories full of that controls my subconscious and conscious reactions today. So it's understanding your subconscious mind is makes your conscious mind your conscious mind a robot through emotions, feelings, and descriptions. As today occurs for me to rise out of my self-embedded insecurities, worrying about hurting other people's feelings because I never liked my feelings hurt, so I encompass a swindler vulnerability that stole my sovereign valor because I was more worried about the other people than understanding I encompass the valor to experience and express myself my way. When you can express yourself, be vulnerable, and show people a better way, you stop letting the outside world intimidate you and societies. And another thing is throw all of society's meanings, definitions, and everything out of your life and understand you're a success right here. Define it, wine it, dine it, and enjoy it. And really rise to the sunwise wizardry within yourself to set yourself free from you. That's all this is about. All the personal growth, self-help, self-improvement, psychology written books. It's a basic saying. I liberate me from me, my viewpoints, opinions, childhood, and to understand me, I'm free. I want to thank you for being here. I am Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Hypnoacuity. Cowboy Wisdom Hypnoacuity is an enterprising wizardry of communicating wisdom, insight, inspiration for you to expand of yourself. And I want to thank you. My website is mycowboywisdom.com. My email is robert@mycowboywisdom.com. This is about you enjoying life your way.